With Dominaria United coming up in September, this has led to a very interesting sales trend happening on the secondary market, which leads me to believe these are cards you should be buying before it's too late. Honestly, I should have seen this coming. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, vacation mode Moxman, and thanks a lot for hanging out with me on the channel today. I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are in the world of Magic the Gathering. You know, when you have new sets come out, you know, you got Kamigawa, you got new Capenna, we got new standard sets out. The secondary market can react in certain ways. You can look at things and say, we don't care, none of these cards connect, but sometimes certain cards start connecting the dots. And players' interests, along with flippers and investors, all start skewing a certain way. A card that may have been falling in value for a very long time can take a massive upswing. When you can see that trend starting to happen, and honestly, I should have seen this about a week earlier, but the fact that you know it's going that way, and we know the storylines that are coming up, you can see how certain cards, you know, they're finding new lifeblood, new interest is coming that way. And if you're a player who kind of wanted to get these cards, but you weren't thinking about it, you really thought you had time to get them, this may be the time to buy the cards that I'm going to show you in today's video. It may be the time to get ahead of the curve before some of these cards really start spiking in value. I wish I had told people a week earlier. That can't be helped. It's under the bridge. Let's keep going forward. Let's take a look at some amazing cards today. Hopefully these are cards you don't have to buy right away, but if they are cards that interest you, if some of the cards in today's video you look at and go, oh yeah, that might be the card for you now before things get worse. The sales trends right now are seeing a lot of uptick on the cards I'm showing you. The sales volumes are growing and the prices haven't reacted quite yet for some of these cards. Others on this list today are like bargain basement. They're so low that you should be buying them if you don't have any yet. I always say go for a play set of 4 is kind of my general rule. So let's go ahead. Let's have some fun today and let's take a look at some cards you should be watching. The first card I'm going to share with you guys today is Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. Now when you look at this card, remember what these kind of cards can do for a deck, but it looks like extra attention is being paid to a few of the cards on the list today, and this is one of them. This card has had massive amount of sales in the last 48 hours, almost 36 hours now. When I started taking a look at a few of these, because I track these ones quite often, just because I feel they're underpriced, and I think they're poised to start going up, I looked and said, you know what? Look at what's happening. The price hasn't spiked yet. There's been no additional information about why so many sales are happening on this card, but there's a lot of interest going on somewhere in the secondary market, causing cards like this to go up. If they ever complete this land cycle, it's going to be just one of the best things ever, but we've only got a couple of them right now, so you're looking at years down the road. I think Wizards really likes to space these kind of things out to make sure it takes a very long time to draw out some of these land cycles. They don't want to give it to you right away. They want to make us work for it. But the sheer volume tells me people are having an interest. Okay, we do have Dominaria coming up. This is the Tomb of Yawgmoth, right? You see where this is all kind of interconnected. So paying attention to cards like this can be a real big banging thing for players who are looking forward to the future. And that brings us to our next card on the list today, and that is Yawgmoth, the Thran Physician. Again, the sales volumes on cards like this are higher than normal. It's not selling the 30, 40, 50 copies a week. It's selling a few hundred copies. 3 or 4 times the normal sales volume for a card from Modern Horizons. And the fact that it's coming up in the 30th anniversary type stuff we're seeing with Dominaria tells me that flippers and investors are paying attention to this. They're hoping to get in on the inside track in case something happens with cards like this. There may not be anything going on, but at the same time, if something happens, cards like this are going to have a massive sway if they interconnect with anything in the upcoming sets. You really have to keep your eye on the ball on this stuff. If you already have 1 or 2, you're probably fine. If you're a player who likes to have a play set of 4, I understand. But this card is not the cheapest, is it? This card's already kind of pricey and moving up. So if enough flippers and investors get in on this and a few buyers get in as the last boat in, this card price could really start spiking upwards of the $70, $80 mark before you know it. It's something that players really have to focus on. Now, Urza Lore High Artificer, same thing, guys. The sales are just a little bit out of whack. It's about 3 times its normal sales volume. It's moving along at a humming pace. I know a lot of the local LGSs have it up on the buy list. A few people are looking for more copies. And a few people in particular I know went specifically for foil copies. I have one of my friends who had 3 foils and just went ahead and bought the 4th. But when you have 20 or 30 or 40 other people buying foil copies, you're talking $4,000 or $5,000 in sales just in the foil. That's interesting to me to see cards like this start to move at a strange time. Now, I think this thing got, reprinted in like a foil etched version and stuff, but it really hasn't had a full reprinting. It was already a mythic, and this card's been out of print for a couple of years, other than the special copies we're getting, like the foil etched and stuff from Modern Horizons 2. Keep an eye on this stuff, guys. If you don't have one, you might want to get it before it gets even worse. Remember, this card's already been as high as $80. Nothing has swayed the price yet, but that doesn't mean it's not coming down the pipe for any of the cards on the list. It would not take much to do a sudden twist and turn to have these prices shoot through the roof. Now, the next card I'm sharing with you is going to be Karn. Now, Karn may not be the best card out there, but people have to recall that this guy at one point was a $50, $60 card. The fact he's only $8 to $10 right now, you got to remind people sometimes what cards like this can do. Karn himself is only a 4 generic casting cost planeswalker. We don't know what's coming up in the Brothers War. We don't know what's happening on Dominaria United, but people are starting to bite on this guy. Whole play sets were selling. Things are starting to move. And I look at it and say, I know he makes like artifact creatures. I remember that. Well, you put enough artifact things together and people can start building decks with this. I remember him being a really hot commodity in Dominaria back in 2018. Cards like this come back around. Things connect, make an interest. New Karns are coming out. Obviously going to be in Dominaria United. So you know what, guys? I just want to warn people. It may not be anything, but when I see enough flippers and investors out there buying this card, I got to warn people just in case they ever thought about getting one. Get it before it hits $15, $20. Get it when it's $8 to $10. Save yourself a few dollars and say, yeah, I didn't spend a fortune. I got in just before the price spiked. It's just something to keep an eye on. Now, our next card. All right, we're talking Urza. Now, this card, I'll be honest, I didn't pay any attention to the Praetors. They're not my favorite thing, but I can't ignore the sales. $7 cheap. Foil OG Original, $23.84. That's very affordable, and this guy's been falling in price. But as he falls, it looks like somebody's biting. Now, look what he does here. Creatures you control have haste. Creatures your opponent control enter the battlefield tapped. So he acts like the old school Legends, what was it, Kismet? They used to make things come into play tapped. But not only that, he is making things harder for you and easier, right? He's easier for your attack phase. He's harder for your opponents to deal with. And he's like a $7 card. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how these cards are going to interconnect when we have Dominaria United coming up. We don't know what the Praetors mean going into the whole new multiverse attack cycle I think is going to happen across all kinds of planes of existence, this new multi-story arc that they're working on. We can only guess, but a lot of people are guessing that these Praetors are going to be worth money, okay? And yeah, they've been reprinted, things have come up, but you can't ignore the fact that the OG original ones are just something to keep an eye on. Now, the same with, was it Sheoldred, the Whispering one? New Phyrexia. I remember this card. I played against it lots of times. I have none of the Praetors as far as I know, unless they're in some bottom basement binder somewhere. But I wouldn't mind getting a couple of the OG originals, maybe gathering a couple of the OG original foils. It won't cost an arm and a leg yet, and they've been falling in price. I know the new one got leaked out there, and a lot of people are talking about it. I'm not there to do a regular filming or get the right amount of research done from where I am here. But at the same time, I'm going, a lot of these cards, and then you take a look at the sales, and you're like, somebody's taking an interest in the older cards right now. They're looking at the new Phyrexia and saying, you know what? Some of the stuff's going to go together with some of the stuff from Dominaria. We're going to move some stuff around here, and let's start making some buys. And that's where money is starting to move, because if any of these cards spike, you are going to see a whole different world on some of the pricing structure for original cards. Now, here's one that I thought was very interesting. We have Vorinclex, the Monstrous Raider. Now, this was Kaldheim. I called this guy out as a great card. Look at the pricing structure. It stayed pretty consistent the whole time. And then, multiple sales wiped out a few of the local stores where I am. It made me take a look online, and you start seeing on TCG Player, eBay, a few other places that I follow, the sales are up. People are moving in on a few of these cards. And you realize, you know what? We don't know where the story's going. We don't know what all these Praetors mean when you start putting this stuff together, or if there's any newer versions coming out. But this tells me that something is happening. And the investors, flippers, and some players are realizing that something's probably going to interconnect to make these worth more money or make them have some more value or make players want to play with them. And people are taking a risk. They're diving in, buying 4, 8, 12, 16 copies at $40 a pop. That can't be a coincidence, guys. If you don't have one yet, the price hasn't changed yet, keep an eye out. If you have one or two, you're probably doing pretty good. I have a couple of play sets that I bought earlier on when they were a little bit cheaper. I know they've kind of bounced around a bit. I also traded for a couple, and I've held on since then. I figured some stuff for later on might be fun to have them around. It looks like I probably made the right choice. Vorinclex, great card. All right, now, when we're taking a look at Gitaxis, Gitaxis, I always pronounce these wrong, the Progress Tyrant. I like this card from the day I saw it. It's like $14 local. I got the last copy in. I decided to buy an extra copy for myself since I only have one. I figured it was smart to have an extra one around. You can't go wrong with stuff like this because it's still a great card to have. It has good effects to it and a lot of fun when you play it on things like Arena. But I'm glad I did now because when I started looking at the sales, you go, wait a second, why is there only one copy in? It's on their buy list. They don't have any more copies. Also, people are not really buying any Kamigawa Neon Dynasty right now. They've moved their money along. So whatever's kind of out there in the market is what's out there right now, and nobody else can get any unless they start cracking boxes, which is unlikely because of the sheer volume of product that Wizards is putting out. So newer cards like Vorinclex, the Monstrous Raider, the Progress Tyrant here, you're not going to see as many of them coming around. Even Urbarask from the newest set, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, you're not going to see a lot more of those getting open, but he's like a $3, $4 card. I don't think he's very expensive right now. This stuff is just very interesting to see the sales volume. Okay, now we're talking about Elesh Norn. Sorry guys, let me just get a sip of the coffee here. Dry throat. When we're talking about Elesh Norn, the Grand Cenobite, New Phyrexia, I remember opening this, I think it was Masters 25, one of the ones like that, Modern, whatever, one of the Masters things. I remember getting it. I kept this one. So at least I have this one around somewhere. Not an original OG, but I still have one somewhere. I look at this and I realize this is a pretty good card. It's got pretty good ratings. It's been reprinted a few times, and the value still seems to hold. I wonder if we're going to see some kind of combination of what happens if all the Phyrexians are in play or something's happening because, again, the sales just started jumping on this card. They're way out of whack. They shouldn't be this high, but they are, okay? And when that happens, it makes you realize, why is it going that way? Like other creatures you control getting +2/+2, creature opponents get -/. Like this is a good card and it has vigilance. Interesting stuff, guys. Interesting. I like the idea of this stuff. I hope my thralls just beat the living tar out of you though, because you should just lose to them. That's all I'm going to say. All right, Cabal Coffers. Same thing. This one, just a slightly higher sales volume. And I'm showing you guys the OG original because the foil is interesting to see older foils like this from Torment being worth money. I would definitely, if you're going to be buying copies of this, go for the older ones. But that price being $23 is so inexpensive still. And if Wizards wants to see more value in cards like this, they're going to avoid reprinting them for a very long time. They'll wait a few years now. Let the market absorb what's out there. And I think that's what a few flippers are starting to notice because the last card I'm showing you guys, Yawgmoth Cradle of Growth here. I've told people countless times to buy this card on the channel. If you haven't bought it by now, oh well, I can't convince you. But guess what? This card will probably be in the top 10 as well. The hot 10 is, unless I do the counting and something changes when I count some of the other regular cards this, in the next 24 hours, I'm looking at this realizing the hundreds and hundreds of sales that I just cursory counted above its normal count means that if this thing's at 600-700 without me taking a serious look at other websites, this is going to hit the top 10. This is going to be there and it shouldn't be right now. Money should have moved on. And if it hasn't moved on and the person who bought like 60 copies on the weekend, that's a mini buyout of a modern card. Why did 60 copies get moved all of a sudden? Why didn't LGS I know, send me some info saying, hey, by the way, somebody bought all 18 copies we had. We had them for $12. They're all gone. That shouldn't be happening right now. Okay? Yeah, sure, a playset of 4 or something would have happened. But I'm looking at it saying, I get it. I get it. $8.16. Modern Horizons 2 is not being opened. Money's moved on. And a few flipper investors said this is probably the bottom before it slowly works its way up. They're getting in on that ground floor, okay? The bottom of the bottom. So, sorry guys, let me just adjust here. I'm looking at the market today and I'm saying this is a weird one, guys. things are not the way they're supposed to be, how I normally see it. Some of the cards make perfect sense. With Dominaria United coming up, people are wondering how the Phyrexian story comes across the multiverse and what's going to happen. Those sales I kind of understand, but some of these land cards are throwing me for a bit of a loop. I'm going to keep a close eye on it. I'll report back to you guys on the finance side of things to see how things are going, but the sales are high. A lot of things moving. And I don't even have access to all the stuff I would normally track, so I can only imagine how bad it'll be next week when I actually take a look at some of the more serious things I do. This is big. It hasn't really hit the board yet, but if you don't have a playset of some of these cards and you're after them, this is probably the time to buy before the market reacts and starts noticing. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. Thanks a lot for hanging out with Vacation Mode MTG Moxman here. Got the green screen tree in the background. Loving it. Hope you guys are having a great day, and I can't wait to see the comments in the comment section. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh yeah, guess to what we have Saturday and Sunday are the Hot 10. Saturday is the Hot 10. Sunday, the Hot 10 reserve list. And then, of course, guys, it will be the live stream. And that should be the live stream giveaway for the Patreon. I'll see you guys then. And, of course, a big shout out goes out to all the fantastic patrons on the channel who make things like this happen each and every day. These videos are brought to you by the amazing patrons of this channel. Thanks again for that support, everyone. Well, here we are at the end of the video. The end, the really real end. And you guys are the special people who make it to the end each and every day. And if you make it to the end today, you can say Vacation Mode MTG Moxman in the comment section. That's a big one. Vacation Mode MTG Moxman, where I'm sitting on a cushion here bouncing around. You can see like the propane fireplace over there in the corner that heats this place in the winter. Obviously not on right now. I got the lights all around me to give me a good view here. But I moved the green screen for you because some people were wondering what's down here. Well, there's a brick wall. There's a little wall over here and a wall over here. Not a lot of space, but you know what? More than enough to film right now. And it's not the winter, so that propane thing's not going, which would make this little area like unlivable. It'd be like so hot. It's a torch down here in the basement time. But the heat kind of goes up through some vents and heats the rest of the house in the wintertime. There's like a blower on there that blows out, you know, the heat and stuff from the bottom of it. So it keeps the place warm, which is good. A lot more efficient than electric heating. Whoa, that was so expensive. That almost like, you know, bankrupted me the first day. It was crazy. So anyway, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for making it to the end. And yeah, if you're interested in any of those cards, you might want to move on before it gets bad. All right? Any questions, comments, concerns? Oh, wait. I forgot you guys can't talk to me right now. It's all good. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have an awesome day, everyone. No, I didn't freeze. I was just joking around. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later.